Welcome everyone. We're at the Oyster Bay Railroad Museum Visitors Center, and I'm going to give you a quick tour and show you what we have to offer. What we have here is a display case of period conductor uniforms and hats. This is an engineer's hat, goggles, and a kerchief which they wore, or a bandana. And the goggles were to protect their eyes when they were operating the locomotive from cinders and anything else that could get in their vision. It was very important that they were able to see the signals and make sure that all was going well. Over here, we have a depiction of what the Railroad Museum in its completion stage will look like. This is the yard where we have our turntable, and we'll keep our equipment there. This is the historic railroad station at the end of Audrey Avenue. That station was built in the late 1800s. It was Theodore Roosevelt's home station, and when completed, it'll connect the waterfront to the downtown through an entrance across the tracks. We'll also have a tourist trolley. The Railroad Museum is constantly trying to find ways to utilize this piece of property and looking for funding. And this is just an interior shot of what the museum will look like. It'll have both static and interactive displays. It will also have a visitors center where people who come in by either boat, car, train, or tourist bus will be able to get information about all the various attractions that Oyster Bay has to offer, including all the restaurants and the retail establishments. Over here, we have a depiction of what a typical station agent's desk would look like. He would have his typewriter, a fan when it's hot in the summer, a telephone to communicate, and before the telephone there was also a telegraph. We also had his rule book and other things that gave him the information he needed to make sure that tickets were sold and the trains operated properly. We also have pieces of luggage. These are steamer trunks that were donated. All this luggage you see here, plus we have others that we just can't fit in here, were donated from people who heard about us and thought that they would find a good home. This one happens to say Oyster Bay Railway Express Agency shipped this to Oyster Bay, and they valued the item at $45.
That must have been a very long time ago.
It was. Come around this way, and we have a display case showing different aspects of the railroad. Everything from 1964 World's Fair maps and other historical pieces. Other things over here include a subscription car. Subscription car is when, if you had enough money and you commuted every day, you and a bunch of other people would pay an extra price and you would have your own car. You wouldn't have to sit with everyone else.
Quite convenient.
Often they would have a steward that would, in the morning, provide them with coffee and tea and some goodies, and in the evening they'd probably have cocktails. So it was quite an experience, and not many people could afford it, but it was very exclusive. Down here we have a sign. A lot of times, a lot of the lines of Long Island Railroad are electrified, and they would have to warn people that there was a very high voltage electric third rails and that trespassing was forbidden. This sign is solid. It's just cast steel. It must weigh close to 50 pounds.
Wow.
We were very fortunate to get it.
Not many of them are left around.
No. It wasn't that rare. It was a common thing. So when the railroad didn't need them, they would just get rid of them or sell them for scrap. So the ones that did survive are rare. Over here, one of our projects is the restoration of steam locomotive number 35. That's been a goal of the museum for many, many years to actually have it restored so it could operate under its own power. Now, some of the we have the locomotive in our yard, it's in pieces, but one of the things we thought would be neat is to showcase the actual bell that's set on top of the locomotive. And this bell was used, again, for signaling purposes or warning purposes. When the locomotive was operating fairly slowly in a yard, the constant bell would warn people that there was a big piece of equipment moving towards them. So it's a safety feature, and this bell, again, is just a remarkable thing because it's brass, and there aren't too many of these left either, so we're very fortunate.
Could we hear it?
Sure. I can make it louder, but that's... I think you get the point.
Ah, it's wonderful. Beautiful.
In this area here, we have display. This is a parlor. This is a seat from a parlor car. The Long Island Railroad had several parlor cars which they used on their long distance service. When I say long distance, could be from Jamaica to Montauk Point. And during the summertime, the ridership increased a lot. And what would happen is the railroad would provide the parlor cars for an extra fare. And people, again, would have the convenience of sitting in a nice wicker chair, and there'd be an attendant who would serve cocktails and serve some food items. It was fairly exclusive. And this, again, was donated by someone, and we have it on display. The bow is because we're having our Holiday Express weekend. Usually the bow wasn't part of it.
Yeah. Oh, it's a holiday. And what are these?
Well, this is a photograph of the locomotive that is under steam right now, and there are two surviving locomotives on Long Island, number 35 and number 39, and where both organizations are trying to restore them. This is the Keystone.
What's the Keystone?
The Keystone is where the number of the locomotive was put.
Oh, I see.
Because the Long Island Railroad was a subsidiary of the Pennsylvania Railroad initially, and the Pennsylvania Railroad had a Keystone as their say. Pennsylvania is the Keystone state.
Okay.
So this shaped item is called a Keystone, and that is the locomotive. Every locomotive had that on them. There were 50 of these. This one happens to have 35 because that was number 35.
I see. So this 35 here is the real thing?
No, this one is a replica.
I see.
We have the real one.
On the locomotive?
No, we have it stored because, again, it's very valuable.
I see. Okay. Makes perfect sense. And what is this instrument here?
Well, that's
looks like a sextant.
It looks like a sextant, but it actually is a reversing lever. The engineer would have the ability to change the direction of the locomotive once it's stopped. Just like you put your car in drive and then you put it in reverse. You either move a lever or you shift on the floor with the handle. With the locomotive, you would use this. This is just one example of one type. This is a marker lamp, and the marker lamp would have 4 lenses, white, red, yellow, and green. And depending upon what type of run the train was on, a regularly scheduled train or a different type, the marker lamp would show the towerman or anyone else that what particular train this was used. If it was a regular run, it would have a green lamp. If it was an extra, it would be a white lamp, and the others also had some significance.
All right. John, to finish, do you think we could hear the sound again?
Of what?
Of the bell.
You want that bell? Okay.
Yes, please. Wonderful. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.